Hello everyone, welcome back to SEAMRITE Fashion Academy channel once again. I sincerely appreciate each and every one of you stopping by on this channel to learn on sewing innovations. Okay, so today's tutorial is going to focus on how to draft and sew an off-shoulder long sleeve. Okay, then we are also going to alter the off-shoulder long sleeve, as you can see on the screen. Okay, so I just want to focus on teaching you how you can make your off-shoulder long sleeve perfectly, and from that long sleeve you can also get your short sleeve, okay, your bicep length sleeve, your cap off-shoulder sleeve, even a strap from it. Okay, so to begin this tutorial, people, I want to also for those who are new to this channel, please kindly subscribe, turn on your notification bell to receive videos like this each week. Okay, and if you have been following this channel, thank you very much for following this channel, and make sure you watch this video to the end so you'll be able to learn how you can make your off shoulder in an easy and simple method. Okay, all right, so the first thing we do, which you know, or even if you don't know, this is the first thing you need to do: folding your paper into by 2. Why are we folding our paper by 2? We are folding this paper by 2 because we have the front and back sleeve in here, and we need to locate the midpoint. We need our midpoint for our off-shoulder sleeve. What I mean by midpoint is this is the center sleeve that runs from the shoulder to the wrists of the sleeve. Okay, so now to begin this tutorial quickly, I'm going to make my border lines, which is the first thing I need to do. So you can see I've made my border line. Okay, and the first border line I just made here is my sleeve head. Okay, just as you have the shoulder line, okay, which is the starting point, for the sleeve we have the sleeve head. All right, so this is the sleeve head right now, and I'm going to take all my vertical measurements starting right from this point. Okay, so to take the vertical measurements, we are going to take the bicep, the elbow, and the wrist measurement. How do you determine the bicep measurement? The bicep measurement is the largest part of your arm. Okay, if you look at your arm, you will see the fattest part of it. That is the bicep. So once you place your tape on your shoulder, on the shoulder point, shoulder region, you take your tape across to the largest part, to the arm, okay, to the elbow, and then to the wrist. Okay, so for you to determine or for you to take an accurate measurement of your arm, please, we have an online class that teaches you on how to take your accurate measurement for your sleeve and for your bodies. Okay, so you can, I will be dropping the link on the description box below. Okay, so if you are interested to learn how to take your accurate measurements and also how to draft and sew perfectly, we have classes for that online. Okay, these classes are paid classes. So the measurement I'm going to take right now, which is the first vertical measurement, I'll be taking it from the sleeve head, as you can see. So, and I have my bicep length at 7.5 inches. I'll be making a mark on that 7.5. Then the measurement I got for my elbow, I'll be taking it at 13 inches. And the full length, which is the wrist measurement I have in here, I'm taking it at 23. So these are the measurements I'm making use of. Okay, so like I said, if you want to learn how to take accurate measurement, please click on the link on the description box below. You'll be seeing an arrow by the left hand side of this video. Below it, there's an arrow there. Please hit that arrow to see the link leading to the WhatsApp group where we learn so many things on sewing innovations, drafting, paper illustrations, and so on. All right, people, so now you can see what I have in here right now. I'll be naming this my bicep, and this is my elbow length, and this is my wrist, and this wrist is the full length, that is the full arm measurement taken from the shoulder, the part of the shoulder, okay, where your arm started down to the wrist. So these are the vertical measurements that are required for an off-shoulder sleeve. Now there are some tips and tricks to off-shoulder sleeve, which I'll have to let you know right now. The first thing you need to do before an off-shoulder is this. Before you start drafting your off-shoulder sleeve, is to take the measurement of the round shoulder. You can see on the screen how that measurement is taken. So wherever you want your off shoulder to be offed, that is where you take this round shoulder. So this round shoulder, you can see how it is on the screen. That is exactly how you are going to take your measurement. Whatever figure you have in here, let me take for an example, I have 40 inches for this sleeve I'm making. And my shoulder measurement, I have a shoulder measurement of 15 inches. Can you see that? So what does this mean right now? It means I'm going to make use of this shoulder measurement. I'm going to divide my shoulder measurement by 2. And when I divide my shoulder measurement by 2, I have 7.5 inches. Okay, so this 7.5 inches is just for just a part of my drafting, okay, which I'm just one part of the shoulder, okay, at the back. Now this 7.5, I'm going to take away, this is standard, take away 2 inches whenever you are making an off shoulder. So if I take away 2 inches from there, I'll be left with 5.5 inches. So this is what I'm going to work with right now. 5.5 inches is just on a quarter of the bodies. What do I mean by that? Looking at this, you can see this is a quarter of the body drafting. Can you see? A quarter of the body, front bodies drafting. This is just a quarter. So what it means is this. If this is my bodies right now, and I want my off shoulder to be offed at, let me say I want to off it at 5 inches. This is my 5 inches where I want my off shoulder to start. So what it means this is that I'm going to apply this 5.5 right now on this point. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to take the measurement from the center front and I'll make a mark of 5.5. You can see my 5.5. So at this 5.5, that is where I'm going to connect my off shoulder. Okay, I also have a video on off shoulder, which I'll also drop the link. So now I will change my marker to show you how the off shoulder is going to be on the bodies. This is what you have, the new armhole for the off shoulder on the bodies. Can you see? So if I'm cutting right now my off shoulder, I will simply cut off from here because that is where I want my off shoulder, and I'll cut through the red line. The whole bodies remains the same. So let me just put in this as if I've cut it. Can you see? So I've removed the part I don't need right now. Can you see? So you can see I have my off shoulder. I can fix my sleeve comfortably in here and I'm good to go. Okay, so that is what I'm actually talking about. So the measurement of 5.5, which is my shoulder take away 2 inches, which is 5.5 we are working with right now. You can see it here and is reflecting here at 5.5. Can you see? So this is 5.5, of which I connected my new armhole. I believe you understand that. So now this 5.5 is a quarter, just 1/4. But remember, the body, this will be cut 2 times, the back will be cut 2 times. That is 4 times of this 5.5. So I'm also going to make use of this 5.5 again. So I'm going to times 5.5. I'm multiplying it by 4 for a complete body. And when I do that, I'll be left with 22 inches. So I have 22 inches for all my body. Now for my sleeve, what do I have for the sleeve? You know, from our calculation, from this round, taking round our shoulder, the body has taken 22 inches. Okay, so I have 40 all around my body, and the body has taken 22 inches. So how many is left for the sleeve? So I'm going to take away 40 from 22 right now, and I'll be left with 18 inches. So this 18 inches you have in here, the sleeve is going to share it by 4. What I mean is this is my sleeve. Can you see my sleeve? And you can see I folded it, which is the first thing I did. So in here I have 1 front and back, that is 1 and 2. And this 1 and 2 right now is only for one part of the sleeve. So if I bring the left hand side of the sleeve, I will have 1, 2, 3 and 4. So that means that this 18 inches will be divided by 4. And when I divide 18 by 4, I'll be left with 4.5. I believe you understand that. So we are making use of 4.5 right now. We are making use of 4.5 gotten from the remaining 18 inches divided by 4. So this 4.5 right now is what we are going to place on this sleeve head. That is serving as our sleeve head. So I will take the measurement of that 4.5, which is my sleeve head. Can you see? All right, so having determined that, the next thing is to create the cap height. This cap height cannot be, you cannot take the measurement on the body. We don't do that. Instead, what we do is to use our bust circumference. Okay, so I have a bust circumference of 40 inches here. To get that cap height, I'll be dividing 40 inches by 6, then I'll add 1.5 to it. And I have, on that point, I have 8 inches. Okay, so that is for the, not the cap height anyway. For the cap height, I'm going to divide by 12. Okay, before I do that, 40 divided by 12 is my cap height, and there 40 divided by 12, I have 3.5. So I'm going to measure 3.5. Okay, that will serve as my cap height. Can you see? So I will first of all get this cap height before I divide by 6 and add 1.5, still on the cap height. So can you see? So this is my cap height. You can see the calculation for the cap height. The bust, whatever your bust is in here, divide it by 12. Whatever result you have, you measure from your sleeve head and make your cap height. So coming over to the 30, to the fourth bust, divide by 6. This one that we just made, divide by 6 plus 1.5 is the 8 inches is the measurement you will take on the cap height. That is for your circumferences. Okay, the horizontal measurement. So for the horizontal measurement, you make use of this on the cap height, and for the vertical measurement, you make use of this on the cap height. So for the vertical measurement, we divided our bust by 12 and we have 3.5. You can see the line. Now for the horizontal measurement, now I divided by 6, add 1.5, and I have 8 inches. So I will make a mark of my 8 inches. Can you see? So you can see I have this mark and this mark, and I need to connect them. So I'll be placing my rule this way. Can you see how I'm placing it? And I'm going to make a connection to it. Can you see? So this has already formed the armhole. That is the part of this armhole which I demonstrated to you, this part. Okay, so this part of this armhole you see in here is going to fit into this part. Okay, when joining it, it's going to be fixed this way. Okay, so we are going to fix it this way. I believe you understand that. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to take the horizontal measurement on the bicep. That is when you take your tape around the largest part of your arm. So if this is the largest part of my arm, I take my tape around it. Can you see? So whatever thing I have, I divide it by 2. So there I have 14 inches, and I'm going to divide 14 by 2, and I have 7 inches. So I'll just make my measurement, take a measurement of 7 inches. Can you see? Then coming over to the elbow, I'll take the measurement of my elbow. Like I said, this measurement of this long sleeve, taking a full arm measurement, is not just a measurement you keep your arm straight. If you do that, you will not be able to, to move around with that cloth. You will not be able to drive. You will not be able to do anything. So if you want to know how to take your accurate measurement, please click on the link below this video to join the WhatsApp group, okay? So you can join us in our paid classes to be able to learn how to take all accurate measurements, drafting and sewing very properly. All right, so let's continue. So for the elbow measurement right now, I have 13 inches divided by 2, which is 6.5. I'll make a mark. Then coming over to the wrist, I have a wrist of 9 inches divided by 2, that is 4.5. So right now I'm going to connect all these points. I'm connecting from the cap height to the biceps. That is the first thing. You can see how I kept my ruler connecting that. The next connection is from my elbow to my biceps. Can you see? And the next one is connecting to from my wrist to the biceps. You can see what I have here. So this becomes my off-shoulder sleeve right away, because I'm going to cut it off. So this off-shoulder sleeve you have in here. Alright, so to manipulate that, I'm going to cut off, okay, to have my real off-shoulder long sleeve before I start to, alter it to that style you are seeing there on the screen. Okay, so you can see I'm cutting the sleeve head right now. All right, so this will serve as the beginning of my off-shoulder long sleeve. So now for that sleeve you are seeing in there is just a very simple thing which we are going to do there. So the very first thing we are going to do right there is to determine where that the cuff of that sleeve. The cuff is the lower part. Okay, that lower part, you will see the lacing there. They use the lace, okay, to stitch on the puff. So I'm going to take from that point. I believe you understand what I mean. From the wrist point, I'm going to take up 5 inches. Okay, you can make it 6 inches as well, but I want to leave it at 5 inches. So at these 5 inches, I'll just make a line, or we can go up a little bit, because if you look into that tool, you will see that it's really high, okay? And the tool, you can see the tool dropping as well, okay? So if you look very well, you see that the cuff is really high. So let's leave it at 6 inches, okay? So this is the cuff. Okay, so this cuff, we are going to cut it out. I'm going to cut it out and set it aside. That is what we need for the lower sleeve, okay? And we'll be using a different fabric, especially the lace fabric used for that outfit. We'll be using it to stitch this part. Now, this is my bicep line. If you remember, this is my bicep. And at this bicep, you can see that is where exactly the attachment of the tool, okay, the gather tool started. But now I might decide to go up a little bit. Let me just go up a little bit, because I don't really want it on that bicep. I want it to go a little high. So I will go up by 1 inch from the bicep line. So at 1 inch from the bicep line, I'm going to rule my line. That is where I'm going to cut off what I have, so as to manipulate my sleeve. All right, so you can see. So now I have how many sections here? I have 1, 2, and this is 3. Okay, so I'm going to set aside 1 and 3. I'm not going to use 1 and 3 for now until I finish what I'm doing with 2. So I will set 1 and 3 aside, and I'm going to open up this to take the measurement of what I have. So on the upper part of this sleeve, I'm taking the full measurement from the beginning till the end. What do I have in here? I have 14.5 inches. So I'll be writing down 14.5 inches. You can see that, okay? So I'm making use of this 14.5 inches right now to cut my tool on bias. Okay, when I mean cutting on bias, I mean cutting at 180 degrees flay. Okay, but this 40.5, I'm going to first of all divide it by 6.28. okay, so 14.5, that is 14.5, I'm going to divide by 6.28. So whatever thing I have as my result right now, I'm going to times it by 2.5 because I need a gather in there. Alright, so you can see I've cut number 2. Okay, so this is number 2. You remember this sleeve was this way. This is how it was when we cut it. I hope you remember. This is 1, 2, and 3. And I'm taking away 3 and 1 because we don't need it right now. So I'm making use of 2 right now. So what I want to do here is to spread this sleeve. I'm going to spread this sleeve. That is the first thing I'm going to do. So, and on spreading this sleeve, I'm taking the measurement I have in here because that is where the gather started. And this gather, that gathers you are seeing there is cut on bias. When we talk about cutting on bias, that is cutting on 180 degrees, half a circle. So since we are cutting on 180 degrees, I take my full measurement of the circumference, and here I have 14.5, which is 14.5. So I'm going to divide it by 3.14 because I'm cutting on half a circle. So the result I have in here is 4.6. When you divide 14.5 by 3 the radius becomes 4.6. So this radius of 4.6 right now, I'm going to times it, 4.6, I'm going to times it by 2.5. Why am I timesing by 2.5? Because I need some fullness. The gathers, I need it to be gathered on this part. If I'm not going to gather on this part, what I will do is to cut my radius at exactly 4.6. But because I need some fullness and gathers, I'm timesing by 2.5. And at the end of the day, my result is 11.5. So my new radius is 11.5. And I'm using 11.5 to cut on 180 degrees. So I'll be getting my tool right now to cut on 180 degrees flay. All right, people, so you can see I have my tool in here, about 1 yard of this tool. Okay, so you can see placing it on 180 is just putting it in a triangular form. You can see how I kept it on a triangular form. Then you see the tip of the triangle. Okay, so, and as it comes down just like a triangle, okay, it just comes down, you know, and spreads at the lower part. So right now I'm going to start taking the measurement of my circumference. Okay, as it stands, this tool, I cannot mark my chalk on it, so I'm going to use my tape measure to measure and cut. So I'm going to cut 11.5. Remember that was what we got, 11.5. So I'm placing my tape right on the tip. Can you see? On the tip of this. And I will keep pushing my 11.5. Okay, so as I still maintain my tape. I still make sure I have my tape firmly fixed. Okay, so I'll keep cutting at 11.5. Without moving my tape from the tip, I'll keep cutting at 11.5. I will do that till I get to the end at 11.5. Can you see? So that is the actual radius multiplication that we are going to use to gather on that part. So if you want to make the gather so much, you can times your radius by 4. by 5. You know this is a 2. The more you add to it, the more fullness you have at that part. Okay, so instead of timesing by 2. You know I times by 2.5, you can times by 5 to have more fullness. Okay, so now this is what I have in here as the radius which I'm going to gather. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to take the length. I need to take the length of this number 2 which we cut. So from this point to this point, my length here is 10.5 inches. So I'm going to add a whole 5 inches to it. 10.5 plus 5 is 15.5. So let me just cut at 16 inches. So I'll be pressing my tape on the beginning of where I cut. Okay, because you can see, for you to have that fall, you can see that fall we have in there on that sleeve is because we added 5 more inches to it. So instead of cutting here at 10.5, I'm going to cut at 16 inches. So I'll just place my tape from the beginning of where I've already cut, and I'll keep cutting. I'll keep moving my tape. Can you see? I'll keep cutting at 16 inches. I'll be placing my tape. I believe you're seeing where I'm placing my tape. Okay, where I've already cut. Okay, then I'll keep cutting. Then I'll keep moving my tape, cutting till I get to the end of the 16 inches. So this is what I have in here as my 180 degrees flare. So this 180 degrees flare right now, that is what we have for this. Can you see? So the shorter part of it is going to be on top and gathered, while the lower part of it will be gathered this way as well to fall. Okay, all right, so you can see the length is falling at 5 point. You can even make it 7 inches. Okay, if you really want the fall, because once this is folded in here right away, you can see the fall automatically, you know, shows itself. So the more fullness you want, the more you add. Okay, you add to your radius and you add to your length, and you have more fullness added to it. Okay, so now we are done for this part, and the next one we want to do is to talk about what we have on the cuff. So this particular cuff you are seeing right here, we are going to gather the lower part of this. Okay, once I gather the lower part of it right now, it's going to be on this cuff this way. Can you see? It will be on this cuff this way. So I'm going to cut off this cuff right now to demonstrate to you what you are expected to have. Okay, so I'll be using this piece of fabric, and I'll place this cuff on top of it to serve as the cuff. Okay, it's serving as a fabric I'm using. Remember, there's no seam allowance added. This is just a demonstration tutorial, but when you are sewing, please make sure you add your necessary seam allowances. Okay, so I'm just cutting this to show you without any seam allowance. All right, so you can see I have my cuff in here. So it means I'll be going to my machine right now and I will gather. But before I gather, I'm going to make a notch of the midpoint. This is my midpoint for the cuff. And I'm going to also get the midpoint of the flare. Okay, so this is the midpoint. So now on my machine, I'm going to place midpoint to midpoint. Okay, and I will gather everything into this, and I will gather everything into this. At the end of the day, it comes out this way. Let me quickly do that. All right, people, so you can see what I have for the cuff. This is the cuff number 3, and this is number 2. You can see this is what I have. So you can see that this number 2, the cuff is exactly the same length. Can you see that? And now this is longer. You can see it's way longer by the 5 inches which we added. So at the end of the day right now, we are going to attach this upper part, which is number 1. I'm going to cut it right now on my fabric, and we are also going to gather it in here. Can you see? So at the end of the day, when you sew, everything will fall. Okay, everything is going to fall this way, okay, at the actual length. Okay, all right, so now let me cut out this part right away so we can attach the upper layer of the two to it. So I'll also place my my pattern. Like I told you, I'm doing this to demonstrate to you. I'm not actually doing a real sewing in here. Okay, so I'm not adding any seam allowance at all to whatever thing I'm doing in here. Okay, so I'm cutting exactly as it is on my pattern. So I'm cutting everything exactly as it is. But when cutting yours, please make sure you add all necessary seam allowances. Okay. All right, so this is what I have for number 1. Okay, so now that I have this as my number 1, okay, so this is what I'm expected to. I'm going to gather this part right now. Okay, I'll quickly go to my machine and gather this part so we can have 1, 2, and 3. All right, people, so you can see this is number 1, number 2, and number 3 right now. That is the upper part of this sleeve. Okay, and you can see how it's looking. So like this length is quite longer, so once it fits into the sleeve right now, it will just automatically push up this way, and you see that fall. Can you see the fall? That fall of 5 inches which we added to the normal number 2 length. This is what you have. The fall will automatically come up here. Okay, so now I want to talk about the tool on top of number 1. That is the upper part of this sleeve. You know there's a tool that is on it, okay, just right on top. So I'm going to take the measurement of what I have on the sleeve head here, and on the sleeve head here I have 10 inches. So this 10 inches I have in here, I'm going to multiply by 3, so I'll be having 30 inches. So that 30 inches, I'm going to cut a length of 30 inches of my tool, then a width of 30 inches, then a length of 6 inches. Okay, so I will be cutting 30 by 60 inches tool right now, and I'm going to gather it on the base and allow it to fall on top, after which we'll place our appliques, okay, to cover up all these spaces before we now fold our sleeve and stitch on it. So you can see I'm done stitching the gathers. You can see I gathered it right on the sleeve head. You can see. So that is the upper gathers you see on that sleeve. Okay. So, and if you see, you can see I didn't start my gathering, of the two from the beginning. I just gave some gap. You can see I left some inches before I start gathering. Why did I do this? Because if you look at this part, you can see is the armhole part that is slanted. Okay, so now I need to cut off that armhole. Okay, I need to cut the tool according to the armhole. Can you see? Okay, so two of them will be at the same level. Okay, so that is what you're expected to do. So I will also repeat the same thing I did in there. You can see I left some outside the gathering, so I'll be able to take exactly the shape of the armhole, because when fixing it, two of them needs to be at the same size. Okay, so this is what I have in here. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to place my appliques. So I will go to my machine right now. I'll be placing my appliques. Can you see? I'm using it to cover up these stitches. Okay, so I'm going to cut it off right now, and I'm going to go to my machine to stitch my appliques to cover this space. Okay, so I'm taking the measurement. That is what I'm doing in here. So I'm going to stitch it right away, and after that I'll also stitch on top of mine. I'm going to use to cover the sleeve head as well, as you can see on that picture on the screen. Can you see? So that is what I'm doing. So I'll quickly go to my machine right now and stitch this appliques. Then I'll bring it back for us to turn and close up the sleeve. Alright people, so you can see I'm done stitching my appliques, covering all the spaces. You can see how beautiful it's looking in there. So the next thing I want to do now is to stitch this sleeve. Okay, you know the normal way we stitch it before attaching it to the armhole. So this is what I'm doing right now, and I'm going to secure it with my pin, and I'm going to stitch right away. Please add your 0.5 seam allowance. So I'm going to stitch, and at the end of the day, once you wear, you know this is longer by 5 inches. Okay, so once you wear it on the sleeve right now, it will automatically fall. So let me quickly go and stitch on it, okay, and pretend wearing it to show you how it's going to fall. All right, beautiful people, so you can see I'm done stitching at 0.5. You can see the normal way our sleeve is supposed to be. So now I'm going to open it up, as in turn the front side of it for you to see the front part. Okay, so this is the armhole part which we are going to attach to our bodies. I believe you know that. So you can see how the sleeve is looking right away. Okay, so I'm going to pretend putting this sleeve on my arm right now, so you can see how this part is going to push in, okay, on the normal sleeve. Okay, so this is how it's going to appear once I wear it right now. All right people, so you can see how we come to the end of this off-shoulder long sleeve. You can see how we manipulated the long sleeve to have exactly what we have on the screen. So you can see the sleeve and pretending attaching it to the bodies right now. You can see that. So this is number 3, number 2, number 1 on our pattern, and you can see how the 5 inches we added is falling exactly as you have it on the screen. You can see the tool gathered, okay, with the appliques and all that. Okay, so that is how we come to the end of this tutorial. If you are new to this channel, please kindly subscribe, turn on your notification bell, like this video, share to family and friends, and don't forget to drop your comments on the comment section and your suggestions as well. Okay, so also make sure you click on the link on the WhatsApp, okay, so to join our paid classes. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye.